Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
And this is Martin. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And this is going to be an exciting show.
We have had so much fun with our new guests and our new friends.
Dr. Sherry Kaplan and Teddy Bernholtz. And they are all the way from Toronto.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about such exciting stuff like relationships and love and sex and
all our favorite things.
And how to have better sex.
Oh,
with Dr. Sherry. Actually,
that's right. With a
doctor.
Me,
Dr. Sherry Kaplan.
That's right.
We have to distinguish that.
That's right. Well, and I mean, this show is about learning. It's about solutions. And we were hanging out a little bit earlier, and we were finding out just some of the fun, amazing things that you do. So can you just give us a little tidbit, give the audience a little tidbit of kind of what you've been doing for the last few years?
Sure. So I'm a physician probably for more than 30 years, but started doing integrative medicine. And since about 2010, I created a integrative lifestyle center and Medi-Spa in the last 6 years.
Vitality MD.
Vitality MD in Toronto, Canada.
Wow.
It's one of kind, and I'm very proud of it. It was a labor of love. And what do I do every day with my patients is I tell them how, talk about eating right, exercising, de-stressing, meditating.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Ultimate self-care, right?
Balancing people's hormones and replacing deficient nutrients.
And trying to make us more youthful and beautiful?
Correct. It's sort of an anti-aging process, and originally I sort of got into what I do was more for hormones, and then I realized hormones was only one little piece of the puzzle, and that, integrative medicine is kind of going back to root causes. And basically, when I started applying all the things that I've learned in functional medicine to my patients coming in with hormone problems, a lot of their other health problems went away. And then all of a sudden it was like, go to see Dr. Kaplan because she can fix you.
Right.
And she's become very famous.
Which is really what you want to go to a doctor for.
Well, yeah,
right,
it sounds like it's proactive so that you can be at your highest level of health.
Yes.
So many people do it the opposite way, and they only go to the doctor once they're sick.
Once they're broken, right?
Exactly.
Correct,
Jess.
and that's
exactly.
already a little too late. So it's hard to reverse, disease and aging, but it's so much easier to prevent it. So if we can start young and adapt these behaviors, it makes a huge difference.
So what would you tell somebody that's 25? What can they do to prevent, having ED?
Well, I think that, again, it's like, exercising is very helpful. So increasing blood flow, and when you exercise, it increases testosterone, so that helps.
I think working out is literally like the key to health. Like, I know a lot of people that are either ex-collegiate athletes or pro athletes that, their diets aren't that strict. It's just all about training every day and getting really high-intensity workouts in, cardio, lifting. I think that's really crucial. Obviously, diet's important too, but if you're inactive...
But you can't out-exercise a bad diet.
Oh, definitely not.
So.
Definitely.
Oh, I love that quote.
Oh, that's good.
I agree.
I like that.
Ooh, that's good.
I just think it's important to have an emphasis on both. Some people think like they're going to get into shape just by what they eat. It's like, no, you have to.
It's a triangle. It's mind, body, spirit, right? It's the self-care. It's the feeling good about yourself. And I think that's a lot of what you focus on is women who right now don't feel great about themselves and giving them an opportunity to change that in a very holistic, healthy way.
Correct. And it's not even just women. It sort of started off as women.
Right,
and then it was men and kids
she does the
else.
shop for the women down there.
Right.
I want to call it the O shop, but I think it's really an orgasm shop. But then she does the P shop for the men down there too, right? It goes into
so that's
that thing.
also like one part of the business.
Right.
That's been my new passion and focus. But essentially we started off with the integrated functional medicine, which is the holistic approach and improving, or my slogan is optimizing your health. Right.
And you do commercials, so you're pretty famous in Toronto for
and
all
I've
your
done
commercials.
podcasts, and I do YouTube videos.
Well, and
Radio.
I love that your commercials are so direct. They speak right to the people that you want to talk to. And it's done in a very confident, There's no shame. There's no. It's light and fun, and I think that that's so important. Before I got into coaching, I was completely oblivious to a lot of the suffering that men and women go through. And just to be able to offer something like this, and how does it feel when you touch these people? I mean, you kind of walk us through someone who comes in not feeling good about themselves, and who are they when they walk out
Well, she's speaking about the unspoken. I mean, people, they're probably a little bit intimidated, they're scared.
Right.
But then all of a sudden your commercial's talking about a woman or a man that has incontinence.
Well, we talk a lot about the O shot, where it increases a woman's desire and ability to have an orgasm, and turning that into oh my God, right? But really, the way things sort of started, it was more about a lot of women who had hormonal issues, so perimenopause, menopause, they have a lot of symptoms, and they don't feel well, and they don't feel like their selves. And so, that was my niche practice.
Right.
And so what I would do is sort of, give them some hormones if appropriate, or balance their hormones. Again, sometimes you can do it through diet or replacing deficient nutrients, because it's, not that I want to equate ourselves to a car, but essentially
garbage in, garbage out, right?
Right, but also if you don't put the right gas or, have the spark plugs working, then you can't, you can't get good performance, right?
100%.
So basically, I go back to the basics. I go back to the Krebs cycle that helps give energy to the cells. And then, basically, I kind of have this protocol that works on, and a lot of people start feeling better. And a lot of women, part of the perimenopause and menopause, do have issues with their libido. And, replacing hormones for some women, or a lot of women, may get that benefit, especially if we're maybe using testosterone and stuff. But unfortunately, testosterone can cause hair loss and acne. And, if I had to choose between sex or hair, I think I'd still choose hair.
Oh, see, I would totally choose sex.
How does Teddy feel about this?
Okay,
That's right,
Teddy.
because you can't
Teddy.
have sex with a wig. That's all. Yeah.
Right. Well, put it this way, that we don't have an issue. So.
This is one of those either-or questions we don't need to explore.
But I just want, because your audience really don't know what I do, because you talk about a shot or my commercials, but essentially what I'm doing is I do a lot of advertising for the O shot, or the orgasm shot.
Right.
Thank you for defining that, because I didn't know what the O shot was. I've never heard of it before.
PRP treatment. So basically what happens is a woman will come in and we'll do a blood draw. We obviously freeze them, and we actually just use a topical cream. We don't need any injections.
Right.
And then we strategically inject the PRP, which is growth factors into...
What is PRP?
So PRP is platelet-rich plasma, which essentially has growth factors and nutrients for the body.
And where do you get it from?
For our normal blood.
Okay. So you take your own blood.
So we do a blood draw, as
Okay.
if you're going for a blood test. We take out the blood, we spin it in a special centrifuge, and then the red blood turns into yellow plasma, and then that's what we're taking out and injecting into. So for the O shot, it's in the women in their private area. The P shot is the penis shot for a man. We're injecting into the penis.
So you're taking the man's blood, you're doing all that spinning, and you're injecting it back into
So kind
their
of like the
penis.
supercharging the area, right?
Correct. So we're regenerating the tissues. We're increasing blood flow, making new nerve endings. So it increases sensitivity, blood flow. So for men, it's better erections, more sustained and more sensitive. And for the women, which, for 10 years I knew, if not more, about the O shot. And I kept putting it off because I was like, how is the O shot supposed to increase desire? Because you inject it down there, but it works up here too.
Right.
And,
Really?
That.
So did you have the O shot?
Yes.
Okay. And does Teddy have the P shot?
You can't sell it if you
So Teddy,
can't sell it if you haven't tried it,
introduce
right?
yourself too?
Oh.
So I know he's in the salami business.
Yeah, well, I'm third generation in a 100-year-old deli business called Chicago 58 in Toronto. We've been managing that company now, my family, for almost 100 years.
Very cool.
And we've been making corned beef, smoked meat, pastrami, salamis,
And
filling
they're
the market.
amazing.
That's right.
So people can find you all over
All
Ontario?
over Ontario, correct.
Okay, and Toronto, that's where Grandma lives. We'll be visiting there many times, and we'll come to your delis. So tell us about your love story, because I think it's a really beautiful story. Just, can one of you or both of you kind of give us this beautiful love story to...
Once upon a time.
Okay,
Yes.
so basically, both of us were married to somebody else, and we were actually close friends for a long time because our two sons were best friends from probably like age six or seven up until about age 13. So we were over at each other's houses all the time, like the two couples.
Right.
And we were close friends. And then something happened that sort of separated us. And then maybe
What was the separation?
there was something that happened with our kids and
okay.
just the way things got dealt with. It
Okay.
just it just caused a
Okay, sorry,
a
so-
pause.
Yeah,
And
a
so-
pause in the
A
friendship.
pause in the friendship, and then maybe 6 years ago, 2 years before his wife passed away, we started becoming friendly again. And his wife had a double lung transplant, and she always knew that she had an expiry date, and she did really, really well. And in fact, again, we were close. I looked after his son while his wife Jody was in the hospital.
And you were very in love with her.
Yeah, we were met in university and got married shortly after university. Had our two kids. My son Zachary is 28, and my daughter Quinn is 25.
Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn.
Okay. And Zachary.
And Zachary. I guess about 6 months after Quinn was born, my wife was diagnosed with an unnamed lung disease, and within a year or two after that, had a double lung transplant. And she made it almost
So
20 plus years on that double lung transplant, but unfortunately passed away.
So, you mean such a rare lung disease, it's not named?
They gave it a name, but they couldn't really pin down the disease what it was. They couldn't. They just
It
gave
took
it
them
a
a
general.
while. They kept like, oh, maybe it's this and this, or idiopathic, which means I don't know. Anybody who's an idiot can.
Oh, Latin makes so much more sense now.
Anyways, so his wife got ill and passed away, and then my husband, who was a cardiologist who helped me create Vitality, also
Vitality MD. Let's keep saying it so people know. People can find it. Okay.
We went away on vacation, came back, and within 3 weeks, all of a sudden was like, oh, I don't feel like eating. And my husband was this tall, thin guy who couldn't 20 meals a day and still didn't gain weight.
Right.
And when he said he wasn't eating, something was wrong, and within a very short period of time was diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer and essentially passed away. And Teddy would sort of come and during the whole process of the funeral, I had no clue, I don't know, and he had gone through this about a year before and was very supportive and helped me out. And then afterwards he would come over and we would cry together, and we never looked at each other, I think, in a way of romantic.
I even asked you that, and you said it was a very long time after, and he just touched you. He didn't even give you a kiss.
So what I'm going to say
Stop cheating, Kinga.
is that what we have is very much magical and a fairy tale, and I think it gives people hope that there is a higher power, because us being together was orchestrated from above.
Right.
It was out of nowhere. My husband had just essentially passed away, and this kind of started, and he touched me, and all of a sudden it was this electrical thing, and I think
same.
Very much the same
That
thing.
it was different than what I'd felt before. It was very electric and exciting.
right. And I had with the experience with my husband, I have friends who are psychic and mediums that I became spiritual, and I practiced intuition, and I had a vision, of the two of us. But it wasn't so much just the vision, it was more of a feeling, and the feeling was about love and happiness and safety, and it was so beautiful. And this was before we touched, before ever kissed. We were friends. And when I came back from that vision, it was in my heart.
Right.
And I didn't say anything or do anything, and then all these things just started happening, and I can almost sort of say that I know him like a lot of my life, but in a very different capacity. But I almost can feel like I know him like from the beginning to the end, and that we are so connected that we feel each other. We can be in different parts of the world, like and kind of go,
And
are you feeling this? And I can feel his touch or whatever, and it's so magnetic and magical. And
What was the name of that?
Tantric sex. So
Very early on, we were just messaging, and she had gone away with her kids, and she was at a resort, and we just knew, like.
put it this way, I was sitting on the couch by myself. I was feeling sad, and my kids were off doing whatever, and we're texting back and forth, and he goes to me, take off your boots, and, I'm going to pretend to massage your feet. And I'm in Jamaica or Mexico, someone really hot, and I was like,
Yeah, and I'm in Toronto.
how do you
It's
know
winter.
I'm wearing boots?
Hey, right.
Oh.
And he said, I just know.
Yeah.
And it was just like stuff like that happens all the time. Like I'll feel anxious all of a sudden, and there's no reason for me to feel anxious. I'll call him, and I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, I'm feeling really anxious. And it's beautiful. And it's just, both of us, I think, had really good relationships. And I never thought that I would find love and not even
It's so incredible.
better. Like, not to demean what I had
It's just
before,
different.
because that
It's
was beautiful too.
It's
but
just, it's all, yes. It's,
I feel
it's,
very, very, very
Well, you can
blessed.
absolutely see the connection between the two of you.
Absolutely.
I love this story. I love this.
When I met them, I fell in love with them. I'm just like, this is
Oh, yeah.
incredible. They're all the way from Toronto, and they're so in love. They're so happy, and what you both do is just incredible.
And I
and you're helping people.
And
we're
think
here
just-
saving the planet.
Right.
one orgasm, show at a time.
But I,
That was good.
really do think that, the more people can see what we have, that they want to emulate that.
Yeah.
They want that. And if we all
Right.
can have that, like, love.
And
love
it
is
makes
the
you not wanna
answer.
settle.
Like,
It
right?
is.
If
It-
love is the answer,
100%.
like, the world would be a better
Love
place.
conquers all.
Absolutely.
Love conquers all.
Absolutely. Well, but I also think that to truly experience the highs, you have to go through the lows. At least that's
True.
what I've learned as a coach, as someone who has dedicated the rest of my life to helping people like you have, is that idea is has to be part of everything that you do, and when it is, magic happens.
And funny you should say that, because like both of us, like there's so much more trauma and drama that the both of us
Of course.
has gone through.
Right.
And we all are types of people, like, yes, I'm a physician, so I help people all the time, and he's in the food business, but he feeds people and things that he does, it's all about giving back.
Yes.
But the point is that, like, why did we have to suffer so many things on our plate, and we're always juggling, and we were people that would hide the trauma and drama and like show that happy, right? And we would squish things, and like we just have to, we're the warrior soldiers, we're gonna
Right.
go. And it was like, why did we have to go through this? And I said to him, exactly, if you never appreciated how bad things could be, to appreciate how good it is now.
100%.
And you want to talk about connection to spirit, like, again, I'm not religious and whatever, but just all this stuff, and we're watching a movie, and the exact thing gets said in that movie. It was like a fluke that we chose that movie and whatever. And what did it say? It said, without experiencing devastation or whatever, you can never appreciate the good.
Yes.
Or the.
So I think you need to, it's like the yin with the yang. You have to have the low so you can appreciate the highs. I went through, a sad divorce. Chet's dad and I were married a long time and very in love. And we went through a hard time. But, now I can really appreciate where I am now, being happy again. And I think you need to have some of those lows so you can appreciate the highs. It's incredible what you guys have gone through and where you are right now. So how did your kids weather through all this? Are they? Are they?
Each,
have they healed from the
Well,
pain?
I think there's a lot of trauma and drama for them in terms of losing a parent. It's
Yes.
very difficult.
Yes.
It destabilizes. You know, each of my kids have had issues with mood, which is understandable. And then here's COVID. So, you know, like the world has gotten depressed. So to have all that other stuff plus COVID. My kids, you know, each one has their own stick, but at the end of the day, and also, like, I started dating Teddy very early on in our, you know, since my husband passed. And, you know, part of it I always said was, well, my husband really died a year before because he wasn't well. He was really unwell. But to my kids, it was, I loved your father until the day he died. And even then, like, I did everything to keep him alive, but he's no longer here. And I'm so fortunate that I have someone who loves me and that we have this magical relationship. And could you be happy for me?
They should be so
And
happy for you.
Very
My
different for my
kids are so supportive,
Oh.
and they love Teddy, and
Oh,
they incorporate
that's beautiful.
him in everything, right? You know, even my youngest was probably the one who was most resistant, but he just had an engagement party in Ottawa or Montreal, and he said such beautiful things about Teddy.
Oh,
and,
that's beautiful.
Well, all those things take a lot of time, and it's just I'm sure that they've seen over time how good it is for both of you, right? And that's what's really important.
Well, yeah, it's a mature
Unfortunately,
span.
Teddy's side of the story is a little different than mine.
Yeah, a little bit. I have a son who's 28 who lives in California, who we went to visit, and we had a great time with him and his girlfriend, and that was very smooth. But again, for my kids, the separation from their mother was much different. They started, you know, my daughter was 6 months old when her mother was diagnosed. She never knew her not sick, not in and out of the hospital,
Right.
not dealing with, you know, my kids were little, running up and down the basement. We entertained them by having them run up and down the basement of the hospitals because it was visiting their mommy, and so it got to be a tough life for them. My son, you know, through university left and moved to the States, so he didn't see the end of my wife's life where my daughter did, and it was much harder for her.
Oh, well, I'm sure that she will heal with time. And it's really a beautiful, magical love story that I'm sure that she'll be happy for you.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, right now she's not, but I'm hoping that time will heal.
Well,
Yes.
And
it will, and just by the fact that you guys are dealing with it with love, you know, she's got to go through her own darkness before she can experience light, right? And so she's, and that's I've seen that over and over and over again, and I think it's amazing that you guys that you found each other. You know, I don't believe there's one soulmate for any of us. I think that, you know, many of us are soulmates, whether they're friends, lovers, and
We're soulmates as friends.
absolutely, Chet as well.
And
you know,
you too.
there's a different
well, actually,
connection.
the term soulmate doesn't actually always connotate to lovers.
Right.
Right.
There are people that come in your life, and a soulmate could be
Right.
a negative
I've
too,
had
to
them-
challenge you,
yes.
Oh.
to make you evolve.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yes. I had an amazing Buddhist mentor that said that the people who are causing the most drama in your life are the ones that are shining your soul the most.
Okay, well,
Interesting.
someone's really causing
and something that I want to say, you know how we're talking about we're speaking about the unspoken. I mean, even when people deal with divorce and they have their children, sometimes children don't, or, you know, no matter if they're in their 20s or they're 15 or whatever age they are, they sometimes don't want to see you with somebody else.
Correct.
I don't know. I think
And-
that's
and
an
then-
immature stance, though, because at the
Okay,
end of the
let's hear
day,
this.
you should want your parents to be happy, and nobody should be alone. Like, so if your parents find somebody new, then that makes them happy, you should support that, I think.
Oh, I love that.
100%.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
I
And
love
I
that.
think sometimes when there's divorce, it's actually harder than with a death. I mean, the death is hard on everybody,
Right.
but with divorce, it's more like somebody chose somebody over somebody else.
Right.
Right? Where for us, we didn't choose to be with somebody else. It happened.
Circumstantial, yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then this happened, and
So, Chet, you're
Well, that's why
21.
it's great that's why it's great that your kids are happy for you in your relationship, because they should just want you to be happy. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's lovely too that you were friends prior. I was friends with my my fiance with 2 years before we started dating, and there's such a different connection there when you're friends first, and then you're able to find a love or something grows from that. And I think that's just it's beautiful. So congratulations to you.
I would definitely agree with that. And Chet, now that you're 25, and there are people that are out there listening in the world that are dealing with parents that now are dating other people, or they've lost a parent. What advice do you have for them to let their parents be in love and just
I kind of already touched on this, but you should just want for your parents to be happy. So whatever is going to make them happy and what's best for them. So obviously it's easy to get that jealous mindset and be like, oh, screw this new person. But that's like really selfish thinking. So get rid of that and, just be accepting and be loving. I think that's some good advice.
I think that's great. Yeah. And that shows maturity on your end, because there are a lot of kids out there who always want their mommy and daddy to be back together and the way things were.
That's not realistic. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
But that
we're
can cause
all
a lot of
very
trauma
good
and
at
drama.
setting unrealistic expectations, and then it leads directly into drama. I love that. Drama.
So anyways, we did get a little sidetracked about our love story.
Let's get back to vitality.
Let's talk about vitality, and let's talk about what's been very taboo, because you did ask me, what do the women think or whatever.
Yeah, what's their experience?
So, I was actually, I don't want to interrupt if you were about to go right into a point, but I actually had a question.
Good. He's got
kind of related to, I don't know, I have a lot of different friends who have noticed really significant lowering of their sex drive when they're on birth control, like for females. And then I have several friends, like guy friends, where it has totally affected their relationship when their girlfriend went on birth control, and it totally killed their libido and their sex drive.
And there's a real reason for that.
Okay, yeah. So and it's so
Great
crazy
question.
because if you try to find news articles about it, there's it's really hard to find.
Okay, so you know
great
what?
question,
So
Chet.
A
Okay.
lot of people think that it's only perimenopausal and menopausal women who have issues with low libido, but in fact, it can happen in any age. And
Interesting.
also,
So you could
men
be
and
25?
women alike. And
Well, it's really
let's-
common with
let's-
girls my age group right now. That's
so
what I'm
let's
saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's talk
what
about
I'm
the
saying.
women first, but then please remind me to talk about the male side, okay?
Okay.
So, okay,
Gotta
so
keep
for
her straight.
women, okay, so if you're highly stressed, and this actually applies to both men and women, guess what happens to your sex hormones? They drop, right? So
Interesting.
biggest thing to help with libido is de-stressing. Why do you think women, people have more sex on vacation? Because they forget about the world and they're having a good time, and that's, okay, now it's time for us, right? So that's
Interesting.
part one.
Okay.
Part two is, women on the birth control pill, what does it actually do? It's actually a high estrogen. It creates more, I'm going to get a little technical for 1 second.
We like that.
SHBG, which is a protein-bound molecule that actually sops up testosterone. Guess what's what estrogen and testosterone, both
Work
for men
together,
and
right?
women, help with libido, desire, and ability to orgasm. So and the reason they go on the birth control pill is usually because they have acne, right? And why do women have acne? It's because of the high testosterone. So basically, the reason the birth control works is to lower testosterone, which helps their acne, but it screws, excuse my language, their libido.
It screws their screwy.
And not only that, the birth control pill also depletes B vitamins. Do you know what B vitamins are for?
Oh,
They're mood
dopamines,
stabilizers.
yes.
Right? So all of a sudden they have PMS and they're moody and bitchy and whatever.
Thank
and
God
they
I
don't wanna
never
have sex.
I never went on the pill. I never went on the pill.
Yeah,
No
but it's
wonder
a
why things
really
are so good for me.
pertinent topic
Okay,
because
but
so many
wait.
girls in my generation have been prescribed it at some point,
Correct.
whether
And
high
so,
school
right,
to
it's-
now.
So you
It's
need to set them up with
It's like you're
Vitality
damned
MD.
to us, you're due, and if
She's
you're
going to be
damned
coming to
death.
Arizona a lot.
So guess what? The O-shot helps in these women, because you need contraception, and if that's a good method of contraception, then we can look at other things. But let's come back. What is another reason for low libido and ability to not orgasms? Antidepressants.
Oh, they're all on
So
that.
guess what? To have an orgasm, you need dopamine. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
At least-
serotonin.
Serotonin, right?
Increase serotonin, right? What does antidepressants do? Sorry, no. Increased dopamine, low serotonin is
right.
actually what you need to orgasm. So antidepressants, what are they? They lower. They raise
They flip the-
serotonin. They
right.
do this. They flip the switch. And also for guys, it could cause them inability to orgasm, decreased desire, and inability to ejaculate.
Mm-hmm.
So. And in fact, what do we do for men who are premature ejaculators? We put them on antidepressants because it slows them down.
But do you think that's good?
Well, it depends, right? If you're, ejaculating 2 seconds and you need some extra time to go, and you're not doing any empties, then yes.
Well, we touched on it
That's
that
fixing your
basically if
depression.
there's any women listening that had some kind of a lowering in their sex drive related to birth control, related to antidepressants, the
Related
O
to having
shot can
kids.
really help them
Correct.
get that
Right.
So-
kick back in their sex life.
Right. And
That's
so
huge.
what's really interesting about the O shot, so we talked it's PRP, it generates stuff down there, right? But how does the O shot help the libido, which is desire? It's up here in the brain. Well, there's this huge connection. And in fact, they've done MRIs where if you actually just think about stimulating the labia, just think, you will show that area of the brain working and
Yes.
vice versa. So I have seen with the O shot that women all of a sudden have increased desire. In fact, I have so many stories that is like, it gives me such joy because like I had one, a lot of them are coming in, they're not happy that they have no desire or ability to orgasm or whatever. And, we give them the O shot and then, I check up on them in weeks or months and seeing how they're doing. And like one of them is like, oh my God, like I'm thinking like a guy, I crave sex, I want to do it all the time, I'm buzzing, I'm watching my kids and I'm thinking I need to relieve myself, I have to go to disappear for 10
Wow.
minutes and come back.
So it can really make a huge
Could
impact.
make a huge difference. Now, is it a home run with everyone?
Nothing
No.
is. There's nothing out there that is.
But
what
if
else can people do?
If someone's younger, you may need one O shot.
Right. If you're
If
older,
you're
you might need.
older, you might need 2 or 3. And
Right.
again, our stem cells and growth factors are only as good as your own health, right?
Right.
So if you're smoking and, eating poorly and everything else, well, your growth factors are only so good, right? So, but
So when you say smoking, does that also pertain to cannabis?
I'm sure anything in excess is not good for us, right?
Right.
It's about
Moderation and
moderation.
I love that. Anything in excess. It's so true. Even too much water is bad for you. Too much sugar.
Right,
Too much
exactly.
coffee. I love that.
And technically, if you wanted to consume cannabis in a healthier way, if you ate it in an edible form or like vaporized it like a dab, that would be healthier than smoking it. Because when you smoke anything, it creates more carcinogens. The burnt material and the flame is going to make anything less healthy.
No, in
So-
any way do you recommend that to any of your patients?
So, again, one of my slogans is it has to go past the Kaplan test. So I always try things to figure out for myself if it works, if not works. And I could sort of say that, yes, cannabis, certain strains may improve a woman's libido and sensitivity. And not just
Which
for
ones
women.
do you recommend? Is there certain strains?
Well, again, I'm sure it's dependent on each individual, but I think there's a grouping of cannabis out there that may be on the Kush side, or there's things like wedding cake, or Martin, I think you suggested
Huxton
one.
has a brand.
Wonder Woman.
Has a Wonder Woman that's fantastic. And when I was working with them and still good friends with those folks, it really does. The feedback that we got from our male and female customers was pretty. There was too many comments unsolicited that it said that we weren't asking them. They were just they were like, "This stuff's amazing!" Right?
Again, it's also in moderation. So
of
too
course.
much pot can cause erectile dysfunction
Absolutely.
or out. Or
Wait,
Well,
and
and we
let's
were-
really say that because too much drinking, too much alcohol, too much cannabis.
Actually, so alcohol in excess, guess what? So it kind of causes
it's a
your
depression, right?
testosterone to make estrogen. So that's not good for men. Not great.
That's why when you see the quintessential
Is that-
beer belly alcoholic and they have booze, yeah.
But
Is
it's
that
good
why I
for
become a
women?
queen when I'm
Are
drunk?
you saying it's good for women?
I was kidding.
Can we have the
A lot of
guitar?
women are experiencing
Can we hear a song?
estrogen excess.
Let's go to a song.
Wait.
Get the guitar.
I forgot, you remember I told you to remind me about men.
Oh, the men,
and,
yes.
And low
Yeah, yeah.
libido
The
and
P
whatever.
shot.
Yes.
So every man-made chemical looks like an estrogen. So basically, your exposure to estrogen is way higher than it was 40 years ago, 60 years ago.
What do you mean by that?
Basically, well, phthalates, parabens, herbicides, pesticides all look like an estrogen. And so when men are exposed to a lot of estrogen, it actually increases the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and actually lower sperm count and testosterone levels.
I hate when that
So
happens.
the gold standard for men's sperm count is like significantly less than what it was. And we're not just seeing this in humans, we're seeing this in fish and everything else. So again, a lot of men, like, why are so young boys on Viagra, right?
Is it?
And wait. I'm going to talk about diet because it's not just about the hormone piece, but it's like, what do they eat? They eat
Yes.
fast food that basically make them fat, sluggish, and also causes erectile dysfunction. So
This is very important because there
eating
is something that
right,
I know that has this
exercising,
ED.
de-stressing,
Yes.
balancing your hormone and replacing deficient nutrients is the way to go, and longevity and amazing orgasms. Woohoo!
And she just dropped the mic, I think.
Well, can we hear a song about this while Chet asks a question? You prepare. Chet has a question.
It was kind of more just an addition. It would kind of fall under exercise, but I just think yoga is so great for it. Just makes your core strong and stable, and it clears your mind and your body. It's a great de-stressor, so it kind
Again,
of
if
applies
some
to
people it works wonders. Other people, like, it's finding what works for you. And in terms of exercise, it doesn't have to be a formal exercise. It could be dance. It's about moving. It's like, do something.
Yeah,
Get
different
out.
every day. Different every day. Today we climbed up one of the trails on Camelback, and we came down and we're feeling great.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I've had a tight back before. I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like doing much, and then a good yoga session later, I'm like, oh, I feel like a brand new. So somebody that's out there that has maybe some back pain or any kind of discomfort, and that's keeping your libido from going up, go try some yoga.
I have heard that yoga is supposed to be good for that.
Yeah.
Yep. There's
Just
like
saying.
tantric. There's a lot of different things for libidos, but really, it's like stress is a major killer. Like, how many couples, like, they're busy doing everything else and they don't pay attention to themselves, and then they don't find time to connect, and that's really important. And sorry, we keep talking about it, but I keep forgetting, like, because you again asked me, what do the women say about
Yes,
what I
that-
do?
I think it's
and
important.
they are so helpful, happy that they have an opportunity to discuss something that nobody else wants to talk to them about.
Speaking about the unspoken, I love it.
Right, and
Well,
so-
and I wonder how many doctors know what you know?
Not money, because I can
Not
tell
many,
you that
right?
a lot of patients will come to me and say, I talked to my doctor, they didn't tell me anything.
Yes,
Right,
it's true.
right.
And I
Because it's
think
not
that's
about
a-
preventative care. And that's what's so amazing about your practice, Vitality MD. You're all about integrative medicine. And you're there, like Chet said, preventing and, saying, hey, I don't want to have ED. I want to be able to perform and getting ahead of the game.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I really feel like it all goes together. Chet?
Well, mind, body, and spirit, right? And
Right.
we didn't really talk. We talked a little bit about spirit, and again, I don't like sort of talking spirit because everybody's like, "Oh, she's whoa." But here we are. We're in Arizona. But I do think there is something out there more than what we can
100%.
see.
In coaching, we call it the field. There's a field of
Yep.
energy around us that sustains us. And that's what we try to do it to remove the religion, because we're all on a spiritual journey, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you're agnostic, whether you're this or that, atheist, we're all on a spiritual journey. And for me, a spiritual journey is to discover ourselves. And the path to self-care, the path to self-love, to not be ashamed of our bodies, not be ashamed of what our desires are, that unfortunately some dogmas, let's just call them, have taught that that's not right. And if you go to all of the amazing works, whether it's Sri Aurobindo, whether it's the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu or whatever that is, it's all about what we talked about before, love. Not only for yourself, but for everybody else. That's The Beatles said it right. All you need is
Love, love,
That's
love.
right.
So on that note, can we have
I'm
a
not
song?
doing the Beatles. No.
Okay, no, do your own song. Do your own song because we have
How much
a
time
few
we have?
minutes. We have a lot of time. It's 4:52. We have a lot of time. So if we can hear a song about how you want to sum this all up,
No pressure.
No
Dr.
pressure
Sherry
at all.
Kaplan and
I love that.
Vitality MD and Teddy and their
Oh,
love affair and how she's healing all the women and men to have orgasms.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go with the a standby because it's still.
I love it. I love
it
it.
still applies.
Yes, it's more fun.
Yep. And it's still one of my favorite songs.
It's
that
one
we
of my
do.
favorites. Yes, it's the favorite.
Well, the world is a dangerous place. There's a bunch of people trying to get in your face. Don't you worry, just fill it with grace. I just know you are in the right place. I say yes.
Yes, it's more fun.
I say yes. Oh yeah. Yes, it's more fun. Well, a lot of us work unusual jobs. We sell stuff to a cranky mob. They could be a little on the left or right side. Some of their views they cannot abide. Someone tell them, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, it's more fun.
I say yes, 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 yes. Yes is more fun. But no is less work.
Woo!
The answer
Dr.
is
Sherry
always
Kaplan
yes.
and Teddy,
Always.
Vitality MD.
Well,
Check 'em out.
and kind of going
Toronto,
off,
Ontario, not Scottsdale.
kind of going off
What is
that
your
last,
website? What is your website?
VitalityMD.com.
I
That's
love
right.
it.
kind of going off that last lyric. No is less work. It's so important for sometimes people to learn how to say no to lower their stress levels.
Oh, setting
You gotta-
boundaries.
you got to know, when
know
to
when to say
turn
no.
something down, so that way you're gonna keep your schedule open enough. So that way you're not getting too run down and too stressed out. Because we're just talking on it. If you're stressed out, you're not in the right mood to want to do anything fun, let alone bang.
How do you feel like about that, Doctor? Dr.
I
Sherry?
totally agree with him, right?
Yep.
Like, learning how to shift. And the one thing I will talk about is how meditation's really important because, we all get stressed and upset and whatever, and then we tend to be reactive. And learning how to not detach, but at least take a step back and observe what's going on is part of meditation. And so I unfortunately don't have time for a real active meditation practice. So I do something called I Awake that does brain entrainment. And basically,
I've never heard of that. What is that?
so it's an app, or like you go to their website called I Awake Technologies, and so brain entrainment means that whatever waves that you have to wear a headset. So whatever waves they emit, that your brain will start copying, and to change the brain architecture, which is what meditation does, you usually have to practice 45 minutes twice a day to get yourself to learn how to get into theta waves, and it usually takes time. But with this technology, you can get into theta waves within seconds, and then you're there for whatever you need to, 10, 20, an hour, whatever time you have. And so I basically do that in my sleep. So my dogs wake me up an hour before I really have to get up. I feed them, I go back to bed, I put my headset on, and I can go back to sleep, but the magic is happening.
Right.
And you
can sleep with that on?
Oh,
yeah, it actually helps you sleep.
unbelievable. Like I'm up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work, and when I'm up, and I've learned to listen to some of the I Awake material, and I'll go back to sleep in 15, 20, like just minutes. I'm like, I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm up. I'm awake. I'm gonna. And
Well,
And you fall back asleep?
I'll fall back asleep within
Yeah.
10 or
And
15
feeling
minutes.
very
Well, the
quickly, and
science-
totally relaxed, and I've already slept my 5 or 6
Right.
hours, and I'm ready to go. But it's 4 in the morning, I'll listen to a meditation and I'll go back to sleep
Interesting.
for an hour or two.
Okay, so how do we find this again?
I Awake Technologies.
Have you heard of
There's
this?
a website and their app. And actually, I think there's a big sale going on. I don't think it ended yet. That you can download their things.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, any tool that's going to work, whether it's there's some amazing technologies, there's binaural beats, there's guided meditations, there's so many amazing tools out there. But the thing is to do it. It doesn't really matter
So true.
what
It's the
it
same
is,
thing about
right?
supplements,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't help if it's in the closet.
Exactly.
I would have never done it. I would have never gotten
Right.
that sleep and that peace had I not been introduced to it, because it would have
Right.
never come across. I would have never seen it.
So I want to ask you a
Absolutely.
question that I think is completely taboo and it's totally unspoken, but I'm going to ask it because I know
She
you're the
might be
doctor.
bleeped, ladies and gentlemen.
I know, she might be. So Chet addressed that age group is having a problem with the libido. And my question is, how does it affect your patients this younger age with too much porn? Because we have done a couple shows where we've had some experts that have said that too much porn is
It's
a problem.
bad. Yeah, because I think it's just like video games too. Like too much video games where you're killing people and whatnot, and that's like the norm, and that's what your brain's architectural is getting exposed to. And also, for the most part, porn isn't really what happens in real life. You know, people don't have multiple orgasms and different positions, this, that, and the
pizza
other
guy's
thing.
busy.
Although we
He
do.
doesn't want to hang around in your kitchen.
Hey, I like the
He's
pool
got
guy.
deliveries to do,
No,
man.
no, I like the pool guy.
As long as we're smiling.
Anyway,
So-
No pizza guy actually
so-
looks like that.
No, they don't.
And
That's for sure.
you know, it's not necessarily teaching them how to really approach
Right.
a male, female, or whatever partner
Right.
they're to be with, and so that's setting unreal expectations.
Right. And it can
that
be
a
so
lot
much
of,
better. You know, you guys could talk about the tantric thing, like really studying the energy flow of sex and intimacy and love and reading about it, taking classes. There's some amazing tantric sex healers here in the Valley. I'm sure there are in Ontario as well.
Well,
Have you heard of this tantric?
You are one,
No,
right?
I haven't. But one point I just wanted to go. You said earlier that too much of anything is bad, which I totally agree with. So I think porn, obviously, if it's an addiction or if somebody is doing it too much, then it's really, really unhealthy. But
Right,
for
a little
people
bit's
out there-
okay.
For people out there though that don't have much game or aren't very attractive, it's still an important
sure,
resource
I
for
think
them.
it's important, and also like if
Yeah.
you and your partner are into it, watching together,
Oh, yeah,
like if
some people are
that's
into
going
that,
to
yeah.
help get you guys off. Go to it,
Yeah.
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Like some
It's when it
people-
Everything
becomes
in
an
moderation.
addiction and when it
like-
becomes a negative.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. So then for you,
So,
for your practice, you would say too much of it can
yeah,
cause
like
a problem.
again, I have 80% women and 20% men.
Right.
So, but like,
But you're building
I
up the
do
men.
not think that my women are seeking out and doing excess porn.
Right.
I think they
Right.
may be doing some porn and go, I'd like to be doing that.
Right,
but
right.
I don't.
I think if at
know
any
the
point
same.
it takes a priority over your real sex life, then that's
That's
a
a
significant.
problem.
That's a big
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
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 But
That's
you
true.
were talking about.
But can it make a man impotent? That's what my
It
question.
can cause erectile dysfunction
Absolutely.
or
Because I've heard that, and,
Yes.
and we did a show over, and the expert said it can make a man have ED.
correct.
Okay. I just wanted to know. If
And
we
I
can
think you were
confirm.
we kept talking a few times about tantric sex.
Yes.
And I didn't know what that was. And
Right. I didn't know until my 30s.
We have this magical
Mm-hmm.
connection together. And after reading what it is, which is basically like
Define
a
it, please.
union of like two people being a union of one, and that the intimacy is energetic, and then like
That's
you don't
the key
you
right
don't
there. It's
even
the
have
energy.
you don't even have to touch the other
Mm-hmm.
person, and just being close could stimulate nerve endings and this feeling that it's coming from somewhere else, that it helps you connect
Right.
to the spirit.
Well, and there's breath work, there's mind work, and sex is such especially in our puritanical culture, right? Sex is very taboo. It's very difficult for people to talk. I'm sure you find when your people first come to you that it's very difficult to talk about, right? And then you experience this amazing world of this tantric energy. There's actually people out there like Dr. Sherry that can. I don't know if you teach tantric sex,
No, I
but
don't.
but it's this idea of here's this MD, medical doctor who's talking about things that 20 years ago were considered woo-woo, and now we're measuring the electric fields that the Chinese talked about 2,000 years ago that they called auras, that now we know that our energy extends 3 to 6 feet outside of our bodies, right? And so that to be able to start putting more science and more attention toward the sharing of energy. But it has to be mind, body, spirit. Your mind and your body has to be in line before your spirits can connect, right? And so this idea of being able to help people with their bodies, with their orgasms, with all that, but I think it's so cool that you being a doctor, there's so many doctors out there they don't even know.
Yeah, they poo-poo it. Like, if I can't see it, measure it, it doesn't exist, right?
Exactly. And now you're giving some credibility toward this amazing thing that a lot of people are becoming enlightened around. And I think it's important to talk about it.
It's so important. I mean, what's more important than love and sex?
Not
I
much.
mean, seriously, I think that is
It
number
makes
one.
you very happy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that helps save the planet.
Better than
One show at a time.
time.
That's right.
And it's huge to talk about. Like, people shouldn't think of it as a taboo subject. Like,
Exactly.
It is such
Beautiful
a
thing.
It is such a puritanical culture, and I think that's why there's a lot of sexual frustration out there, and people shouldn't be so closed off to it.
Well,
agree
I
more.
think that it is one of the most beautiful, important things in life. And so here, Dr. Sherry Kaplan, that's what she specializes in. And if so,
Don't forget
somebody
her partner Teddy,
That's right.
who helps teach her things.
Teddy and
That's right.
Sherry.
Well, and food is very important.
So we have 4 minutes left. So in your practice, what would you've got the world listening to you. What would you say are the most important things that you would want to say in your love life, in your sex life, in your health, wealth, the whole picture? What can people do? And then after that, how can they contact you?
Okay, well, I think at the end of the day is finding passion and purpose. And looking and don't be stuck in a job that you hate. Everybody worries about money, and it's a real fear. But at the same token, if you could be passionate and happy doing something, I think money will find you.
It will.
And I think in
Gosh,
terms
I love this
of
advice. Oh my gosh. Wow.
having a belief. So creating Vitality MD, it was all something that I felt and had intuition, and how it was all going to happen, I had no clue. And I was lucky enough that my husband dealt with the finances, and he was the one scared shitless. But if I had that fear, I wouldn't have been able to create what I needed to create.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I think I make a world of difference for so many people, and that in return makes me happy.
Feed you, and I think
I
that's a
have
great
learned so
message.
much from you today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it makes it like we are speaking about what's so important. And people don't want to speak about this. And Chet, you need to spread this to your age group of guys and girls that have these issues and send them to Dr. Sherry Kaplan.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know. I feel really bad for anybody that has that issue, but especially anybody that's at a young age, mid-20s. That's terrible.
Well, there's so much anxiety in this world. There's especially with kids that are in their 20s. I see that a lot on the coaching side, and it's just heartwarming to see that there's more and more people out there that are out there for the right reasons. And I think you hit on it. There is go find a passion that you're helping people. The money will follow. I'm living proof of that. You're living proof of that.
Yes.
You're living proof of that.
Yes.
Yes is more
More
fun.
fun. .com.
Absolutely.
Best sex coach, love coach, life coach. Seek him out. This is incredible. I feel so blessed. So Teddy, can you give us a last, piece of advice of what you feel we can get from Dr. Sherry Kaplan and your love affair? Like, what do you want to spread to the world?
Oh, you've gone around a lot of the stories and all of it, and I love one of the stories that Sherry tells about an elderly couple that walks by her store off her clinic every day, and they see the sign, they see the O shot, they see the peace sign. They've been walking every day for years. I don't know, in their 70s. One day they both walked in, and they met with Sherry. And shortly thereafter, they both, one of them came, the woman came for an O shot, and the man came for a P shot. And such a wonderful story, like say, oh my, they saw the potential. They're in their, their end of their lives, and they said, this is going to bring us more joy and more pleasure. And she was able to do that for them. It was a
That
beautiful
is
story.
the best
That's
way to end
amazing.
the show. Wow, that's incredible.
I love it.
And then check out Chicago 58.
That's right. Chicago 58.
Saving the planet one,
One show at a time.
Woo-hoo!